What's new this month at Rogers Railroad Junction? It's F-Unit Palooza here at the store, with offerings from multiple members of the Athearn family, starting off with F3s from the Genesis line. While EMD's F-Series may have gotten its start with the FT locomotives in the late 1930s, the series didn't truly start to achieve its iconic status until the introduction of the F3 in the summer of 1945. Equipped with the newer D12 generator set, F3s were more powerful than their predecessors and represented a substantial upgrade in overall performance. Available in a half-dozen different road names, this particular unit was one of two F3s purchased by the Western Pacific from the New York, Ontario & Western in 1957, and gifted to their Sacramento Northern subsidiary. Happy birthday! Ultimately, the F3 would prove to be the second most popular member of the F-Unit series, their production numbers losing out only to the F7s that would eventually replace them. And speaking of F7s, we've got those too, both in standard and specially equipped passenger versions. Built around a common power plant and traction motor set, the FP7s, as the passenger versions were known, boasted a higher gear ratio and were 4 feet longer than a standard variant, to allow for inclusion of a steam generator at the rear of the car body. In this way, heat could be supplied to older passenger cars, many of which still boasted steam radiators at the time. To EMD's credit, the irony of building a steam-producing diesel locomotive was not lost on them. True to their nature, Genesis has pulled out all the stops with these models, including many road-specific and even unit-specific details. From the multiple and oddly placed grab irons of the Western Pacific, to the rooftop icebreakers of the Southern Pacific's passenger units. A preemptive method of taking icicles off of tunnel portals before the windows in your dome cars do it for you. Wire-form grab irons, working backup lights, full MU connections front and rear, and a state-of-the-art Tsunami Soundtrax digital command system are all included. SP units are even equipped with a working UDE, or undesired emergency light, as opposed to a desired emergency, I suppose. But what about those whose scaled railroading has a scaled budget to match? Well, to that end, Athearn is also releasing F7s in their Roundhouse line. While lacking many of the finer details of their Genesis family counterparts, these locomotives nonetheless carry the same commitment to quality and functionality that Athearn is known for. Available in both powered and unpowered dummy versions. Athearn Roundhouse, affordable fun for everyone. But that doesn't mean that we're done with Genesis just yet. On a decidedly more modern note, SD70 and SD75Ms are available as well, in all their contemporary glory. Introduced in the 1990s as a response to General Electric's -944CW locomotive, the M model of the SD70 boasted a wider comfort cab against earlier versions, while maintaining the same 710 series engine block and redesigned electrical systems of its predecessors. Overall, it compares well against the SD75M variant, which, in addition to the aforementioned improvements, featured a 300 horsepower jump in its diesel power plant, making it more comparable to the GE-9. Featuring working ditch lights, detailed cabs, freestanding grab irons, see-through vents, exquisite detail on the HTC radial trucks, a 5-pole skew-wound motor, and the same Tsunami sound system available throughout the Genesis family. Modern motive power. Gotta love it. And now for a case of temporal whiplash, we're turning the clock back to the turn of the century with old-time wooden refrigerator cars from Roundhouse. First developed by Chicago meatpacking companies in the late 1800s, cars such as this opened up eastern markets to western produce and helped usher in the modern era of corporate agriculture. Featuring staff-style handbrakes, truss rod underframes, McHenry knuckle couplers, and razor-sharp graphics. These were the cars that revolutionized the American diet and ultimately led to cars such as these, 50-foot mechanical refrigerator cars, also from Roundhouse. With the development of high-capacity condensers in the 1950s, older reefer cars with their ice bunkers and rooftop hatches were quickly replaced by more modern cars with diesel-powered compressors and Freon-based refrigerants. Identifiable by the ventilation grids near either end, such cars are nearly identical to modern reefer cars today. Available in multiple paint schemes, including differing versions of some common road names, these cars will pair well with center-flow covered hoppers, also from Roundhouse. Developed by the American Car Foundry in the early 1970s, center-flows utilized a semi-cylindrical design, allowing for greater strength without increased tare weight. The design proved immediately popular, and ultimately evolved into the modern cylindrical hoppers that we see today. All members of the Roundhouse line feature injection molded bodies, machined metal wheels, McHenry couplers, and optimized weighting. Then there's Walthers, who's answering the call of Athearn this month with a trio of new products. Firstly, there's 40-foot boxcars. Once the mainstays of the general merchandise trade, these cars have generally been replaced by shipping containers in the modern era. But tens of thousands of them once roamed freely across the American landscape, carrying everything from canned goods to cars and lumber to lemons. See-through catwalks are a key facet of these cars, as are the typical Walthers features like metal wheels and couplers, optimized weighting, multicolor paint schemes, and underbody detail. All features which can also be found on their 40-foot drop-bottom gondolas. In service throughout the first half of the 20th century, these cars hauled coal, stone, steel, and pretty much any other loose load that you can think of. Featuring ratchet-style handbrakes and a detailed floor, individual car numbers are available within each road name. And finally, 34-foot, 100-ton aggregate hoppers are on offer. Typically used to haul sand, gravel, crushed rock, and even the occasional carload of coal, these open-topped haulers are well suited to any layout that features a quarry, cement mill, or power plant, just in case you wanted to cast a wide net. But of course, that's just a small taste of what's in store here at our store. So come on by and see what else is new at Rogers Railroad Junction today.